Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tuem and today we are going to talk with the host of Porchooneh talk show named Behruz. This talk show is very famous in Persian community and it's about dating world. And even media is not ready for such a program. That's why I'm so excited to have this conversation with Behruz. So we are now waiting for him to join our live. Hey Shapur, hey Sezgin. So at any time he will join us. He got surprised by his gardener. He was supposed to be there on Monday, but as it seems, that guy surprised Behruz. So we started our live a little later than we promised before. Thanks, Shapur. So how are you guys doing? Where are you guys from? I hope it's not too late. I know at the moment in Cyprus it's about 2 a.m. So I think for Sezgin, if you are in Turkey or Cyprus, it should be pretty late. But thank you guys for joining us even at this time. So we will keep waiting for Behruz to join us at any time. So how are you guys? Where are you from, Shapur? I hope you are hearing me well. Oh, thank you, Sezgin, for being awake now at this time. Hey, here he is. Let me join Behruz. Okay, I sent a request. Okay, so I'm waiting for Behruz to accept the request by any time. Yes, we are connecting now.
Bingo,
Hey,
we're
Behruz.
baby.
How are you?
Merci, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me on your show.
We are honored that we are having you today. We are thrilled about that. Thanks for giving your time for this. But your camera, the rotation is not correct somehow.
I know I'm old-fashioned. I hold the camera like this. Can you do something about it? Because I fixed it on the tripod.
I don't know how we can fix it. But anyway, your voice is the most important thing now, anyway. So,
Thank you.
Behruz,
Thank you for saying that I'm ugly.
pardon?
Thank you for saying that I'm ugly.
Come on, no. But Behruz, would you please tell us about yourself and Porchooneh show for those who possibly don't know you?
First of all, my name is Behruz Bakshir, and I am the producer of the Porchooneh show. Porchooneh show is a worldwide live talk show about dating, sex, relationship, all the games of life, all walks of life. We have been live on Persian satellite TV as of 2001, almost 18 years ago. And we have this TV for more than 5 years, TV and radio. So we have worldwide live TV and radio in our website, porchooneh.com, for almost 6 or 7 years. So we're live 24 hours, baby.
2001 was the year that you started your show on satellites, right?
Yes, 11/11/2001.
Yes, exactly the time that I started my page, and exactly the time I started to be your fan. I was your fan from the beginning, from that time. That's
I'm
why
flattered. I'm
I'm.
flattered. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm so proud of you.
So, Behruz, why your media? I mean, why your Porchooneh talk show became very famous in Iran? I know that you have this show in Persian language, and how come it became famous? And I know usually for your show, people either like it or hate it.
Well, that's good. That means you have personality. I mean, if people don't have any opinions about you, you don't matter. When you matter, that means you mean something. When you mean something, some people like you, some people don't like you, which is out of my hand.
Yeah, what was interesting for me is that in your talk show, you are talking about things that usually they don't talk about it on media. Why do you think this is the case?
First of all, this is the answer to your first question, the why the show became so popular. Because nobody wanted to or could or dare to set foot in this area. That's why people wanted to watch the show wherever we are, following the show, and so forth. But Persian media basically doesn't have the bones to handle a show like that. So it's general, but I appreciate the help of very few Persian TV networks that accepted the show. They took the show on. We had very good time over there, and I have nothing but appreciation and respect for them.
And do you think it would be the same case if you had started your program in not Persian community, maybe in other channels on satellite? Or no, it happened only in Persian media?
More or less the same, because Persian media is not any much different than the general media of the world. The general media of the world is not there to tell us the truth, to educate us, and to warn us about the problems. The media all over the world is there to sell, to advertise, to make money, to use and abuse us. So it doesn't matter if it's Persian or any other. There are, of course, needless to say, that there are some very few networks here and there all over the world in different areas or different countries that they appreciate the show like that. They appreciate talkers or programmers like that, but it's all going to be for a short time, and well, it's not worth a fight for them, to be sure.
Yeah, that's true. And what was your motivation from the first place to start such a talk show? Because I know you're an engineer, your field is totally different. So what's going on there?
My motivation to start the show was a little different than the way it continued, or the way that the audience, or where the audience took the show. The first, but still there, because it is the framework, is the infrastructure of the show. It was to talk about very important things that matter, first of all, and people don't approach it, people don't dare to approach it, people are not trained to approach it, because maybe they're scared, maybe they don't have enough courage, maybe they don't have enough information. So as they say, you know, we live and we learn. I went to the show and I learned a lot from the viewers.
Oh, so I see. You wanted to talk about these things with vast number of viewers. So that was your main goal from the beginning. Because although you call your show Porchooneh, which means talkative, it means that you are...
Porchooneh means loud enough. It means loud enough. You talk too much.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I talked too much, and my grandma called me Porchooneh.
But although you call the show that, but you have conversation with your audience all the time. So, but by the way, whenever I watched your show, I usually watched the part that you were talking. As soon as you got the audience, that was the time I didn't listen usually. Because you remember, especially from the first years, you got lots of weird phones, and just you were trying to explain to them what you mean, and they didn't understand. It was very new to them, and you were just keep talking about the same thing maybe for some sessions. Then after some years, you got used to it and maybe handle it in another way, I guess.
Yes, as you say, as they say, we live and we learn.
Yeah. And what was the weirdest feedback you received for your Porchooneh talk show?
Let me put it this way. Nothing surprises me.
Not anymore.
I just I just rooted to some way of thinking. When people have different ways of thinking, I'm sorry, I'm distracted with the gardeners here. The people have different ways of thinking, so it might when they hear something, it might come out a different way. A reaction, something they say, the way they approach it. So I always take it as positive wind to the sails.
But anyway, can you pick something, for example, which was very funny or very weird for you? I know that
There are a million things. There are a million things that
it's hard to
happen.
pick one, I guess.
And the weirder you say they might be, is the more I take credit for it, and the more I appreciate it, because I don't think there is any other show. I'm not trying to be selfish or self-centered or trying to sound like that, but I have not seen another show in the Persian community. The people come, or maybe right now there is, maybe in Instagram there is, maybe in other TV stations. People are starting to change the trend of the show, change the form of the show, and trying to be out of the box or aggressive. But back then, when I started in 2001 up until maybe 2010, I don't remember any show as famous as they might have been at that time, that people come and open up so easily and so aggressively and bravely to say. I remember I had a show about married women who cheat. And this lady comes on the show, on the air, and she said, I'm cheating right now. My daughter is cheating right now. And she also sang a famous song about cheating. So I don't remember something else like that happening on any other Persian media. So to me, it meant that people are opening up to the show. When people open up to the show, definitely they bring up new horizons, new places I've never touched, new things I've never ever thought of. This is what I'm really happy of. I don't know, you want to call it weird, you want to call it funny, or anything.
Yeah, your shows were definitely funny. I remember I was laughing while learning from you all the time through these shows. So yeah, that was one factor of your shows for sure. But Beruz, why don't you do it in international scale? Why not in English?
Well, people have asked me that before. I don't have any logical answer to give you because it's not that I want to do it in English or, as we put, international. It's because the amount, whatever we have built so far, is in the Persian community. So now to switch to people who speak English, first of all, outside of the Persian community, outside of the Persian media, nowadays there are a lot of people, YouTubers, Instagram channels that talk about these things. It's you can start from MGTOW all the way to the aggressive shows on Instagram, to the aggressive vulgar songs that Persian singers sing. It doesn't have that impact on the non-Iranian or non-Persian community, to my belief. Maybe to people like you who are bilingual, who are brought up outside Iran, uh, of course, maybe it could be appealing, but I don't think basically it could be very successful, especially with my funny English accent. It could be very successful in a media that's already teeming with this kind of programming, although the more they become, the more they become meaningless. I noticed the first days that people like Sandman, Magdar, Razorblade Candy, they brought the MGTOW thinking, the MGTOW idea. It was very powerful. But then a lot of people came in and they were trying to be MGTOW, they're trying to be controversial, aggressive talk. The way that it lost its cutting edge. So there's a lot of them. But I think still in the Persian community, still there is only one show like Porchooneh. I'm not trying to be selfish or sound self-centered, but the more I see a lot of people are talking about sex, relationship, lesbians, gays, I don't know, a lot of different hot topics, or what you call it, taboo topics, but they're just talking about it. They don't go to the depth of the matter. They don't introduce the meanings, and they don't follow a trend to help people think better about the subjects. Not just, oh, let's talk about orgy, oh, let's talk about gays, or let's talk about lesbians. It's talking about something doesn't mean you're leading or you're giving some information.
I see. Behruz, it's true that English is not our native language. Our accents might be funny for in international scale. But anyway, I think it's very interesting that when we talk about these things, even from a Middle Eastern point of view, because we don't also have such programs that shows, for example, what's going on in dating life of Middle Easterns, for example. Then when we have such things in the world, then also them will be introduced to our culture like that as well. Well,
Maybe me and you started an English show on Instagram. How about that? Now you got all the setup, and you have live shows, a lot of viewers. Maybe we can do something every once in a
I
while to
would
talk
be
about.
honored to co-host that with you, but unfortunately, even for these interviews, I have time because of the corona. The university summer school will start from middle of August, so that I have even time for these interviews. If I had time, of course, it would be so lovely, especially with you, to start such a thing. But if you start such a thing, for sure, I will be there to support as much as I can.
It's definitely my pleasure. Anytime you think you have the time and opportunity for that, we can do that. Basically, maybe we start something in English and then launch it on Instagram. Who knows? But there's another thing that really didn't push me towards doing it in English, and that is we have enough people who need to hear this in Farsi. There's still a lot of audience in the Persian community, in the Farsi language speaking community. There's a big demographic that we haven't touched yet. If you want to put some force, some power, we better put it in the Persian Farsi media, as opposed to just getting out there, be considered a foreigner, be the third or seventh or 10th option for somebody to watch a show like that. People go by stereotypes. People go, what you see is what you like. So instead of being somewhere to try to be someone probably in the very back rows of the stage, I think there's still a lot of a big Persian audience that we haven't touched yet, and they need to hear that. And people ask me, why do you keep repeating all of the old shows? And my answer is that I'm not a dancer who, when she gets old, her dance is not appealing anymore. I have talked about some subjects that whenever you listen to, it's new, it's timeless, it's cross generation. Anytime you listen to any of those subjects, although when you look at those shows, I look like a kid in those shows, still the topics are hot. Still the topics are today's topics. So I think I better put my force into getting better in the Persian community, as opposed to just going to English. But it's always open. Somebody wants to do it, I'll be on the show.
So you're covering the new generation like that. Every time they're replaced by the new generation, you're also covering topics for them. And how do you keep yourself updated?
But I actually had a show about that last time. You don't need much updating in this talk show, because we talk about the core of the material and core material, the things that never change, the games that always repeat, always. Anytime you become 14, there's something that your grandfather also had to deal with, maybe in a different form. Maybe they didn't have Instagram, maybe they didn't have cell phones, but this is the same thing that was going on as far as marriage, as far as the dating. When an era is changing, when a new era comes, of course I understand. Maybe my grandfather was not in the dating era, but as ever since dating era started, then things are the same. This problem of just friends, this problem of triangle of love, and then a lot of things, they are the same. They are just changing. So in order to get up to date, to worry about what celebrity is dating who, or what is she wearing, or things like that, I better just dig deeper into the meaning of subjects.
Yeah, that's true. So you mostly concentrate on the nature of women and men and how they are interacting with each other, something like that, right?
Relationship, yes. To shortly, relationship. Because when you say relationship, that means I'm in love with you and this and that. But just basically, relationship is vast. It's not only about people who are in love or they married. Anything could be that could be going on between man and woman, or same sex. You call it romantic, whatever you call it. It's relationship. Games, as surprising and as shocking as it is, games are the same. They just repeat and repeat and repeat the same games because they are mental games. They're not about the fashion or what jacket I'm wearing today, what cap you're putting on today. Is it in? Is it out? I mean, games are the same. So if you understand the games, doesn't matter what year it is, doesn't matter what new Mercedes came out yesterday. The same games go on.
Yeah, but there are some terms which are pretty new. For example, open relationship. Before, in traditional relationships, whenever men or women wanted to do that, they were cheating. But we have a new term, open relationship. So what do you think about that?
Whoever created that subject, they have to answer this question. Open relationship is a name and a behavior. Before I worry about what the new name is, I worry about the behavior. I talk about the behavior. So then we go one layer under the name, and we see, okay, if you don't want to be intimate with this person mentally, and you don't want to be committed to this person, you don't belong to that person. So you want to call it open. You want to live together. You want to be quote unquote married just to have a good, a correct picture, the right picture. You don't belong to each other. So you want to call it open. Let's call it open.
Yeah, there's also another problem that there is not a solid definition for such things. When we say open relationship, exactly people don't know why it is. Even I exactly don't know why it is because for each person this is different. And
Nobody
I
knows
don't.
what it is.
Pardon?
Nobody knows what it is. It's just like good. What is good? Is my jacket good? I don't know. What is good? I mean, there is no definition. These are vague terms just to be used anywhere. These are meaningless titles on top of some behaviors that could always change. So when they change, it's still open relationship. But when it's open, it's like I'm in the open area. What is open area? Is it water? Is it soil? Am I in the air? Is it open? Am I in a cave? Which is very big. It's very open here. Look, it's very open here. So that's why I don't ever recommend that anyone gets caught up with the names and titles. See what's behind. See what's the meaning of that. Open relationship, if that means I don't care about who you're sleeping with and you don't worry about who I'm sleeping with, so be it. Call it open. Basically, we don't have any relationship that could be committing each other. So there's no committing relationship. You want to call it open, you want to call it no relationship, you want to call it my relationship. I don't know what you want to call it because nowadays everybody has a my dot before the name of the website. So that's your page, myinstagram.com.
So you believe that such things are personalized and each person should see, for example, what is the best for him or her. So
Absolutely.
it's not like
Absolutely.
we have a perfect kind of relationship. Each person
There
should
is
find
no
it for himself.
perfect family relationship because everything is interpreted and everything is thought of in the way of your thinking, based on your thinking. How you think about it is going to define that behavior. So you want to call it a relationship. Maybe some people love each other, so they just, like a man and woman, or sex tourists, like a sex tourist couple. They go to different famous sex tourism locations, sex tourist spots in the world, and they do things. Some of them maybe do things that would never do in their own country. But they like each other. They love each other. They could love each other, but they could sleep with other people. If another person, or the sister of that lady, or the brother of that guy, if they hear it, you know, they might go crazy. Oh, you guys are like crazy. Well, this is not a relationship. You have to be with some other people. No. I love her. I want to see her enjoy. That's your mentality. That's what you think. I mean, and nobody can put it's a framework like a mathematical equation. It's 2 + 2, and it's always 4. It's vague. So that's why this is the subject of talk all the time. Always it's a subject of talk, because people think differently, people talk differently, and then people behave differently. And tomorrow when we come back to Instagram, do another show, everything is different. We haven't done anything, because with these names you don't do anything. The only thing that stays, and people can use it and appreciate it, is just to translate the behavior, and is to introduce what's behind this behavior. Then you can decide if you want to be in this relationship or not, whatever it's called.
Yes, and do you think talking about these things are good so that people can be introduced to different types of relationships? Because people usually judge those people who have a different kind of relationship, and they say they are bad people, for example. They usually give negative comments. But the thing is that people are different. Or even we could say some people are not, for example, husband or wife material. So parents shouldn't, for example, force those people to get married because they are far from it. So do you think talking about these things would make society ready for such different relationship, and to accept people for what they are and what kind of relationship they have?
Not to that vast meaning, but I think talking about it absolutely is recommended. It's not going to make society ready, but it's going to make people who have the capability of handling ready. And that's enough. Because those people who don't have the possibility or capability of handling this, they're not made for it. You can't make turkey fly, they always say. Say, hey, this is a cliff, that's a beautiful wind, let's fly. Well, the turkey can't fly. But it doesn't matter it doesn't matter, because there's some birds who can fly, and you need to give them the air. You have to give them the sky to fly. Who cares if the rest of them don't fly, or what are they saying about the people who fly, or if they're right or if they're wrong? As long as we don't invade each other's freedom and don't create problems for each other, I think it's best to talk about it. It's best to say your opinion. Never say, people call me privately and say, hey, I don't want to come on this show because I'm not a good talker. I'm not a good psychologist. I don't have enough studies. I always tell them it doesn't matter. What matters is this window is open for you to talk. Because when you talk, I learn. When I talk and you talk, other people learn. And some people never learn. Some people cannot learn. And that's not my problem. And they will definitely say bad things. They trash talk you because they see you flying and they are on the ground. They have to say something, right?
Yes, true. And it's lovely that you give others this chance to talk in your show. And you said time to time it's happened that we are learning from the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I have learned, I think a lot of my audience have learned from people who come on the show and never show their faces. Very few people come and show their faces. But a lot of them, they come and say something. When they say something, that's for us to learn. The more you can disconnect yourself and distract yourself from the fashion, from what's media doing today, what terms are hot today, what's in, what's out, the more you can look at the meanings. And you can focus on the meanings, and then you understand that a lot of these games are the same. They just repeating and repeating with a different form.
That's true. And Behruz, what would you imagine as the goal of this talk show that you're having? What would be the top that you want to reach someday?
I don't think there's any top about it. The more I do the show, the more I see people that come and they say that you open the door for us. Not necessarily that they learn from me, but they come and appreciate it, and they say you opened the door for us to think, to know that we're not alone. Like today, we had a topic about respecting parents, and that was like a brand new way of talking about respecting parents, and that was never spoken like that. So people come and say you opened the new door. I understood that I'm not alone, and that's the best payoff. That's the biggest reward for me. I mean, there is no limit to it. The more it happens, the more I enjoy, and I am happy that I could do something. There's no limit to it, and I believe I have been rewarded with more than I deserve, way more than I deserve.
So you are enjoying the process, as I understood, and you're loving what you are doing. This is perfect.
Absolutely. I
And
never make money on this show. People think because I have this TV set up, I have this show, the camera, the lights, and this and that, internet, website, they think I'm making money. I'm not making money. I'm spending money on that. I want to give something to people who deserve it and who understand it. If you understand and deserve what I'm giving you, you will appreciate it the way you want this to be available to others. If people come on the show and they help, I mean, sponsor the show, spend money on the show, just privately send donations to me, this is all going to the show. And then this show is going to be more and more for others. I never make money on the show, much less I pay.
yeah, Behruz, someone is asking that are you having your live show now?
A what?
Someone is asking whether you have a live show now.
Yes, on Sundays. On Sundays, hold on 1 second. 1 second, hold on.
Okay, yeah. So Haj Mola, Behruz actually have a live show. He shares it on YouTube, and you can watch it there for sure.
Yes, we have a live show on Sundays, 2 p.m. Los Angeles time, Pacific Standard Time. Sundays, 2 p.m. It's live on YouTube, live on Instagram, and other social media, and definitely live on Porchooneh.com. Our website is Porchooneh.com, so I appreciate if you just share it with your audience and type it, let them know. Porchooneh, if you just type it on YouTube, it's going to come up. It's always been on ever since 7 years ago that I started the TV and radio, and ever since 18 years ago, which I started the website. There's always been on. The archive is there. You can go and check audio, video, and we are live Sundays, 2 p.m. Los Angeles.
And I noticed sometimes on YouTube you have a live, but you don't save it. Isn't it possible to save all of your lives there?
I prefer to only save the episodes after editing. When we do the live show, whoever watches it, watches it. Otherwise, we remove it because there's a lot of things going on. Bad sound. Sometimes I have to edit the sound. Bad picture. Sometimes I have to leave the camera and go to the back room and come to the front. So there's a lot of things we have to edit it because I have to have like to have a clean cut version of what I did at that certain show. I prefer to not leave it there. We broadcast, we delete. We broadcast on Facebook as well. We delete, and then when it's available in the archive, we put a copy also on the social media.
I see what you're doing. That's a very good idea. And Behruz, I remember you were in a music band, Persian Rock. Are you still active in that band?
Well, actually, that was not a band that was actually our own band. We formed this band 2007, but unfortunately we didn't continue it because of a lot of reasons. I have found one of the best musicians and guitar players and rock guitar players I've ever seen in the Persian community, Peyman Muntazami. He helped the band a lot. We went on the stage, but after that, for a few reasons, the band didn't continue. The dream is still there, and we have done a lot of other performances here and there. But just to put it together in like a album, Persian rock album, and another performance like that, it takes a little bit more time that I'm definitely thinking to continue.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I remember a song, Farzandane Iranim, something like that. It was very beautiful. It was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And
actually, I played it right now before and after the show.
yeah, that would be great. And in Iran, we have lots of Persian bands. Unfortunately, they don't get permission to have their album released. There are lots of talents there also. And I don't know if you remember, in MySpace, once even I contacted with you, and you kindly replied me, and about the collaboration, about the bands. It was a long time ago. MySpace was a big deal. But unfortunately it didn't work also because I got busy with this academia thing. Also, I dropped my band. I couldn't continue with that. But I see that you continue with your show, and that's lovely that you're still having this show and new generations can still learn from your show. That's perfect.
Because it's sad sometimes, as long as we don't want to accept it, it is sad sometimes that if you have a dream, if it's only based on you, like Porchooneh show, you can always do it. But if it's based on others' cooperation with you, a lot of things come to the play. Some people might change the place they live. Some people's life arrangement changes. Some people lose the energy. They're not dreaming like that anymore. People want to go to school. People want to get married. So it doesn't really work. I mean, after doing this, you have a lot more appreciation for bands who stayed like a band, not a famous person who calls himself some name. And every time you look at his band, there's another different guitar player, there's a different drummer, singer is different, the bass player is different. That's not a band. It's that person's band. It's not the band, because the band is if people stay together for a certain period of time and make a page in the history of what they're doing. We very hardly, I don't know if we have a band like that in the Persian community. There's some famous people who go on stage and sometimes they hire a guitar player, another time they hire another guitar player, sometimes they bring violin, sometimes they bring a dancer, and then the show must go on. That I don't call it a band. So in this case, I have a lot more appreciation for bands who stay as a band, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes for a decade. Then you see how hard it is.
That's true. And Behruz, speaking about dreams, have you experienced something about Hollywood? I don't know, personally, or your friends or Persian community, that Hollywood is not that kind with Middle Easterns. Have you noticed such a thing in LA?
From a far distance, maybe, but really, I didn't try this because I didn't sense it because I was not in Hollywood. When you're really in Hollywood, but basically, before we go to this conversation, this topic, is you should know that prejudice is all over the world. It's not only Hollywood.
Sure.
Maybe you see like some movie, some Persian or Indian guy is famous in that movie. All the Indian community goes watches that movie. All the Persians go, oh, so and so is playing. She made it. She now is in Hollywood. No, she's just used for some message that Hollywood wanted to send.
Exactly.
And needed a Persian face. Okay, this lady is famous in the Persian community, let's use and abuse her. Or this man is famous in the Indian community, let's use and abuse him to send this message we want to send. Still, the celebrities, number one actors, or whomever is in the business, at the top of the business, is whomever made Hollywood. And they don't say, okay, this Persian guy is very talented, so let's bring him and make him something like Brad Pitt. See, he's smart, he's faster than Brad Pitt. He's good looking. It doesn't count. So that dream is not correct. That dream is basically puts you in trouble, wastes your time. It's a heartbreaker.
I totally agree with you about that. And I had recently an interview with Tehran comedian. We talked about this topic as well. And Tehran mentioned something that Persian community should do things happen for itself, because Hollywood, for example, won't support us. And because exactly the same reason that you mentioned, they want to give a message, then they use Middle East, and they not looking for talent there. So how as
Persian community, I mean, it's any community. If you're in a community, any community, if you want to have cinema, you have the power, make the cinema, make the movies. If you want to compete with Hollywood, I don't know how strong you can make yourself, but it's going to be you. And then when you are the best movie making industry in the world, and then some white guy wants to come and be somebody here, then you don't let him. Then you are going to apply the same prejudice that, oh, we are Persians. This dude is from Sweden. This is a Persian cinema. So it's the same thing. So you should, this is what I was trying to say in the beginning. So go look at the depth of the meaning. It is prejudice. Always we have prejudice. It's Hollywood, it's Bollywood. I mean, Bollywood is very, very, very strong right now. What they're making, are they relying on white people from Hollywood?
No, they don't do
it. Because they have this prejudice about India. And if you're a strong Iranian filmmaking organization, you have this prejudice about your race. I mean, this is inevitable.
Yes, but for example, Hollywood has a massive budget. That's the problem. So for our Persian community, how we can make it happen for us? For example, you had that band. If you had a promoter in US, for sure, you guys could survive and do more things. So how we can make it happen for us? Because such dreams are ruined, and we don't know how to introduce ourselves to the world, Persians or Middle Easterns in general.
Introduced to do what?
For example, we have a band, we have talent, how we can show ourselves to the world.
I introduced myself with Persian rock. Okay. Thank you very much. Nice song, good guitars. Thank you so much. So you did introduce yourself, but if my dream is, or my problem, as you're saying, my problem is that why can't I just be compared to Ozzy Osbourne or Scorpions or Iron Maiden? What can I do to be to that level? I mean, it's your problem. If you're that good, be that good. Still, if you are that good, doesn't mean people who go watch Iron Maiden come watch you, because you're a wannabe in their eyes. This definition of success and happiness you have from your success, for me, has never meant to be like the best one or be to the level of the best one, because there's always some people above you, some people below you. What matters is you do what you do. If the Persian cinema could make it to this level, that's what they can do. If they could have been better, definitely they would have been better. If they're not, they couldn't. I mean, forget about, I think it's miserable that people say it's just like a glass ceiling above my head and things like that, because there's a ceiling above everybody's head. Everybody wants to go up, there's resistance. Doesn't matter, you're a man, you're a woman, you're Persian, you're an Indian, you're Mexican, there's always a ceiling that doesn't let you go, because the ceiling is made by the people who are above you. So it's natural, it's nature. You should understand it. I mean, I don't think it's a success for like Persian cinema to to be to the level of Hollywood. So what? Our
And not
people,
necessarily be successful. I mean, to be heard. At least people around the world know what's, for example, Persian rock. So I'm talking about a community, like a big community, how we can help each other. Because it's not important that one band, for example, from Iran get famous. No. The goal is that we want to be heard. How we can make it happen.
well, you will be heard. If you something that, just like me, look at me, this Porchooneh show. I'm not making money. I'm not Brad Pitt. I don't have the best TV broadcasting system.
You're modest about Brad
No,
Pitt thing.
no, I really don't. I really don't. I have the bottom line, the bottom line of the crappiest equipment here, and I just come and talk. Sometimes the camera gets cut off, sometimes the computer hangs, and a lot of other things. I just do what I want to do. If it's worth listening, people come and listen to me. People don't listen to me because I'm good looking or I wear the most important, I mean, the most expensive clothes. I'm a fashion icon, none of that. Because just go there and be yourself. When you're there and you're yourself, if you what you say is worth listening, if the movie you make is worth watching, people will watch you. Just because you made some crappy movie and you spend a lot of money and people didn't watch you or people didn't become they didn't go crazy in Hollywood because you made this movie, it doesn't mean that people are against your success. Maybe what you made is not worth it. So this is just to, instead of blaming others on what we couldn't achieve, I believe we should do what we can do to get as far as we can get.
You're right, Behruz. I think you're absolutely right. You mentioned an important factor, persistence. You don't care that how many followers you have. You just go on with what you believe, what you love. This is very important. You're right.
For yourself. That's what matters. It never makes me happy to understand, okay, now I am better than so-and-so person. Now I am to the level, or maybe I have role models that I want to be like them, like I want to play the guitar, learn from them to play the guitar, or just make my website like a role model, do my show, have my setup like people who are successful, and I want to get modelings from there. Making my role model, copy, whatever it's called. But it doesn't make me happy that right now I'm at his level, so I'm done. Because nobody knows what's the ceiling. As long as until you go, you understand how far you can go, and where you cannot get wherever you thought you should get, it should not disappoint you. Because what matters is you move and you want to go up as much as you can. And believe me, as high as you go, you're still not satisfied because there's somebody above you because you're not the best person in the world. And then that's going to be your role model. It's good to envy. It's good to have a role model, but it's not good to be jealous of people or be disappointed because you didn't get there. Because I could fly as much as I could fly.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Behruz. And what I love about you the most is that you're so logical and you know how to have a conversation. And this is very lovely. We rarely have see that such things happening. By the way, I think we have a disconnection. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It's okay?
Now you came back.
Yeah. So I was saying that what I love about you, Behruz, is that you are so logical. You can have a meaningful conversation, and these things rarely happens, unfortunately. And that's also one thing I loved about your show from the beginning, 2001, when I started watching your show. And this is very wonderful, and I love it about you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that you gave me your time and you found me worthy of being on your show. I hope you make the best that you want.
There's thanks for your time indeed. And would you, once again, tell the viewers about how they can find you, how they can see your show?
Porchooneh.com, Porchooneh.com. Porchooneh.com, Porchooneh Media. You can see the archive, you can watch the live streaming and also the live radio on your mobile platform, mobile devices and your home screen, home PC, Mac, smart TVs, what have you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Behruz. Thanks for your time.
Take care of yourself and keep going, baby.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.